"Come in. My daughter asked for 2 grandparents," said the widow to the abandoned elderly couple. Sarah Miller never imagined her life would change completely on a hot Sunday afternoon when she opened her front door and found 2 strangers standing there, hesitant and with eyes full of tears. The elderly couple was holding firmly onto a worn leather suitcase that seemed to carry much more than just old clothes. It was then that Lily, her 7-year-old daughter, came running up behind her mother and whispered softly in her ear, "Mommy, can they be my grandparents?" The girl's innocent question echoed like lightning in Sarah's heart, who felt her legs go weak. Lily always asked why she didn't have grandparents like the other kids at school, why her family was so small, why it was just the 2 of them in the world. "Sorry to bother you, ma'am," said the man with a trembling voice, removing a faded fabric cap from his grey head. "My name is William Bennett, and this is my wife, Margaret Bennett. We're looking for a place to stay just for a few days." The woman beside him, bent by the weight of years and circumstances, wiped her red eyes with a crumpled handkerchief. "We have nowhere to go," Margaret added, her voice choked. Our son put us out of our home." Sarah looked at the couple, then at her daughter, who was tugging at the skirt of her light blue dress, then again at those 2 faces marked by time and suffering. Something stirred inside her, a mix of compassion and recognition of her own pain of raising a daughter alone. "Come in," said Sarah, opening the door completely. "Please, come in." Lily jumped for joy, clapping her little hands. "Grandpa, Grandma," she shouted to the strangers she had just met. William and Margaret looked at each other, surprised and moved. It had been so long since anyone had called them that with so much joy in their voice. "Sweetie, we're not your grandparents," said Margaret, crouching down with difficulty to be at Lily's eye level. "But you could be," insisted the girl, with that determination only children possess. "Mommy said family is who we choose to love." Sarah felt her heart tighten. She had never said exactly those words, but maybe that was what Lily had understood from all their conversations about family. The elderly couple slowly entered the small living room, observing everything carefully. The house was simple but cozy, with photos of Sarah and Lily scattered on the shelves, some plants in the window, and a floral-patterned sofa that had seen better days. "Please sit," offered Sarah, pointing to the sofa. "I'll make some tea." "We don't want to be any trouble," said William, but he sat down anyway with a sigh of relief. "We've already caused enough trouble showing up here out of the blue. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing." "Not at all," Sarah replied from the kitchen, already putting water on to boil. "Lily, go get the cushions from your room so your grandparents can be more comfortable." The girl ran off, radiant at finally having grandparents to call her own. Margaret took her husband's hand, squeezing it tightly. It had been weeks since they had sat on a real sofa, had a hot cup of tea, or heard a child's laughter in a home. "How did you end up here?" asked Sarah, returning with a tray. "We were walking along the streets," William explained. "We stopped to rest there in the little town square across the way, and your little girl came to talk to us." Sarah remembered. Lily had gone out to play in the backyard and must have seen the couple sitting on the square. The girl had always been curious and sociable, unafraid to talk to anyone. "She asked if we were anyone's grandparents," Margaret continued with a sad smile. "She said she never had a grandpa and grandma, that it was just her and her mom." "And then she brought you here?" "Told us to wait while she went to get her mother," confirmed William. "A very clever girl." Lily came running back with her arms full of colourful cushions. "There, now you'll be very comfortable," she said, carefully arranging everything around the couple. "Thank you, sweetie," said Margaret without thinking, and immediately brought her hand to her mouth, startled by her own words. But Lily beamed. "Did you hear, Mommy? She called me sweetie." Sarah smiled, serving the tea. There was something magical happening there, something she couldn't explain, but also didn't want to interrupt. "Tell us what happened," said Sarah, sitting in the armchair opposite the sofa. William took a sip of the hot tea and sighed deeply. It was the first good thing that had happened to them in weeks. "It's a sad story, miss," he began. "Margaret and we have a son, David. He lives in a nice house, has a family, a job. We'd been living with him since I retired from the mill. But then the fight started, continued Margaret. His wife never much liked us, said we were a burden, that we took up too much space. We tried to help around the house, do our part, said William. I'd fix things that broke, Margaret would cook, look after the grandkids. But it wasn't enough, Margaret finished, wiping away a tear that insisted on falling. Lily came closer and took the lady's wrinkled hand. Don't be sad. Now you're here with us. Sarah felt her chest tighten. She knew the feeling of rejection, of not feeling wanted, all too well. After her husband died, many friends drifted away, as if widowhood were contagious. It was just her and Lily against the world. What exactly happened? Sarah asked gently. William looked at his wife as if asking permission to tell. She nodded her head. Last week David came home saying we had to leave, he said, his voice choked. Said his wife was pregnant again, that they'd need our room for the baby. But that wasn't all, added Margaret. He said some things that hurt deeply, that we were just an expense, that we were too old to be useful, that it was time to go to a nursing home. Sarah swallowed hard. How could a son speak to his own parents like that? And then you left? What choice did we have? Said William, shrugging his shoulders. We took our things, the little that fit in this suitcase, and left. Where have you been sleeping? Here and there, Margaret replied vaguely. At the bus terminal, on some benches in the town square. Yesterday we slept under a store's awning. Lily let out an indignant gasp. What an ugly son, he can't treat his daddy and mommy like that. The girl's innocence brought a smile to the elderly couple's faces. That's right, sweetie, said William, ruffling Lily's hair. But sometimes life is just like that. No, it's not, insisted Lily. Mommy always said family has to take care of family. Sarah looked at her daughter with a mix of pride and worry. The girl had absorbed the values she tried to teach, but she was also proposing something that could be very complicated. Do you have any relatives? Any other place to go? Asked Sarah. No, replied Margaret. My brothers are already gone. The few friends we have are also elderly and can barely take care of themselves. And have you tried seeking help at City Hall? Some social assistance? We tried, said William. But it's a darn bureaucracy. They say the waiting list for the nursing home is huge, that it could take months or years. Sarah was silent for a few minutes, thinking. She looked at Lily, who was sitting on the floor beside the sofa, leaning against Margaret's legs as if they had been her real grandparents for years. You can stay here, Sarah said suddenly. What? Asked William Bennett and Margaret Bennett at the same time. You can stay here in my house, at least until you can get yourselves settled. Lily jumped for joy. Really, Mom? They're going to live with us? For now, yes, confirmed Sarah Miller, surprising herself with her own decision. William Bennett shook his head. No, ma'am. It's already enough that we're here drinking your tea and being a bother. We can't take advantage of your kindness. It's not taking advantage, insisted Sarah. I have a guest room I never use, and honestly... She looked at Lily. I think it would be good for us too. How so? Asked Margaret. Sarah took a deep breath before answering. Lily has always wanted a big family. Ever since her father died when she was 3, it's been just the 2 of us. She's always asking about grandparents, uncles, cousins. She draws houses with lots of people, but in real life it's just me and her. And you, ma'am? Asked William. Don't you have family? My parents died in an accident when I was young. I don't have any siblings. My husband's parents never really accepted me. After he died, they cut off all contact completely. Margaret squeezed Sarah's hand. So we're in the same boat, she said. Everyone kind of alone in the world. Yeah, agreed Sarah. Maybe we can help each other. Lily got up and hugged Sarah, then William, then Margaret. Now we're a real family, she declared. Me, Mom, Grandpa, and Grandma. The adults looked at each other, all with misty eyes. There was something right about all of this, something that made sense in a way none of them could explain. Are you sure? Asked Margaret. You don't even really know us. I'm sure, replied Sarah. At least for now. We'll see how it goes. William cleared his throat, emotional. You're an angel, he said. We don't know how to thank you. No need to thank me. Like I said, I think it'll be good for everyone. Sarah stood up. Come on, Let me show you the room. The guest room was small but cozy, with a double bed, an old wardrobe, and a rocking chair that had belonged to Sarah's grandmother. "It's not very big," said Sarah a bit awkwardly. "It's perfect," said Margaret, running her hand over the floral bedspread. "It's been weeks since we've seen a real bed." Lily ran into the room. "Grandma, will you teach me how to crochet later? And Grandpa, do you know how to play checkers?" "Yes, I do, little granddaughter," replied William, smiling. "We'll play tomorrow." "And I'll teach you how to crochet and how to cook too," promised Margaret. "That's so cool. Mum doesn't know how to cook very well," said Lily, teasing. "Hey," protested Sarah, laughing. "I get by just fine in the kitchen." "You do get by," agreed Lily diplomatically, "but Grandma probably knows how to make those yummy sweets that grandmas know how to make." Margaret laughed. "I know how to make lots of yummy things. Chocolate truffles, coconut macaroons, peanut brittle, homemade cornbread." "Homemade cornbread?" exclaimed Lily. "I've never had homemade cornbread." "Then I'll make some for you tomorrow," promised Margaret. Sarah watched the scene with a smile on her face. She hadn't seen Lily so excited, so happy in a long time. The girl looked like she'd won the lottery. "Well, let's let you two get settled in," said Sarah. "If you need anything, just say so." "You, ma'am." "I mean, Sarah, have already done far more than we deserve," said William. "Nonsense. We're family now, remember," said Sarah, repeating her own daughter's words. When they left the room, Lily pulled Sarah into a corner. "Mum, thank you," she whispered. "You made my biggest dream come true." Sarah kissed her daughter's forehead. "They seem like good people, right?" "They are. I felt it in my heart," said Lily, putting her little hand on her chest. "Just like you taught me. When a person is good, our heart knows." That night, after Lily went to sleep, Sarah stayed in the living room thinking about what she had done. Had she been too impulsive? After all, she didn't know those people, but there was something in their story that touched her heart deeply. Perhaps because she herself knew what it felt like to be rejected and alone. From the guest room, she could hear the couple talking softly. "William, do you think we did the right thing?" said Margaret's voice, "accepting to stay in a stranger's house?" "I don't know, my dear. But what choice did we have? And look, it's been a long time since I've felt so welcome somewhere." "That's true. That girl, she has a heart of gold." And her mother too. "There are many people in the world who wouldn't do what she did today. Do you think our David—" "I don't want to talk about David now, Margaret. Let's try to sleep in a real bed and be thankful for that." Sarah moved away from the door, feeling a little guilty for listening to the conversation. But the couple's words reassured her. They seemed like simple, honest people, just going through a very difficult time in their lives. The next day, Sarah woke up to the smell of fresh coffee and baking cake. She went to the kitchen and found Margaret stirring a yellowish batter in a bowl. "Good morning," said Sarah. "Wow, what a wonderful smell." "Good morning, dear," replied Margaret naturally, then blushed a little. "Sorry, it just slipped out." "It's okay," smiled Sarah. "I liked being called dear. I hope you don't mind me being in your kitchen. I woke up early and decided to make the homemade cornbread I promised Lily." "Of course I don't mind. In fact, it's been a long time since I woke up to the smell of baking at home." Lily appeared in the kitchen in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "Grandma, you're already making the cake?" "It's almost ready, sweetie," said Margaret, kissing the girl's head. "Go brush your teeth and we'll have breakfast soon." Lily ran off, obedient. "She's a very well-mannered child," commented Margaret. "You've raised her very well." "Thank you. Sometimes I worry if I'm doing the right thing, raising her alone." "You are. You can see she's a happy girl, full of love to give." Sarah prepared the coffee while Margaret finished setting the table. When William appeared, everything was ready. "What a spread," he said, impressed. "It's been a long time since I've seen so much food together." "Sit down, Grandpa," said Lily, pulling out the chair for him. "Grandma made cornbread." Breakfast was cheerful and lively. Lily chattered non-stop, talking about school, her friends, the drawings she liked to make. William and Margaret listened to everything with attention and affection, asking questions and showing genuine interest. And at school, Are there other boys and girls who live with their grandparents? Asked Margaret. There are a few. Abby lives only with her grandma because her mother works far away. Peter lives with his grandpa because his dad and mom travel a lot. And do they like it? William wanted to know. They love it. They're always talking about the cool things they do with their grandparents. That's why I always wanted to have them too. Sarah watched the conversation with a smile on her face. Lily was radiant, more talkative than ever. After breakfast, Sarah had to leave for work. She had a small sewing workshop at home, but some clients preferred her to come to them for fittings. "Will you be okay?" she asked, a little worried about leaving Lily with people she had met just the day before. "Of course," said Margaret. "You can go in peace. We'll take care of Lily." "And I'll take care of the grandparents too," said the girl seriously. When Sarah returned in the afternoon, she found a scene that moved her deeply. William was in the living room fixing a broken toy of Lily's, while the girl watched attentively. In the kitchen, Margaret was teaching Lily how to peel potatoes. "Look, Mom," shouted Lily when she saw Sarah arrive. "Grandpa fixed my doll that had a broken arm, and Grandma is teaching me how to cook." "How wonderful," said Sarah, feeling her heart warmed. "And that's not all," continued Lily excitedly. "Grandpa taught me how to play checkers, and I won twice." "Let you win, right, William?" teased Sarah. "Not at all," he protested with genuine pride. "She's really smart. Learned fast." Margaret approached Sarah. "Dear, I hope you don't mind, but I made lunch. I found some vegetables in the fridge and made a soup." "Of course I don't mind." "Thank you, Margaret." "And I took in and folded the clothes that were on the line," added William. "It was the least I could do." Sarah felt a little embarrassed. She was used to doing everything herself, and now there were people taking care of the house and her daughter. "You don't have to do that," she said. "Yes, we do," insisted Margaret. "We can't just sit around here with our arms crossed. We have to help however we can." During dinner, Lily recounted the entire day in rich detail. She had helped peel vegetables, learned how to fold clothes properly, and heard stories from when her grandparents were young. "Grandpa, tell Mom about when you worked at the factory," asked Lily. William smiled. "I worked 40 years at the same Heritage Mills," he told Sarah. "Started as a helper and ended up as a supervisor. I met Margaret there. She worked in the office." "It was love at first sight," said Margaret, blushing a little. "For me it was," confirmed William, taking his wife's hand. "She's the one who took her time giving me a chance." Lily laughed, delighted by her grandparents' love story. "And you got married right there at the factory?" "No, sweetie. We got married at the little church in the neighborhood where Grandma lived. It was a simple but very beautiful wedding." "And then you had your son?" The mood at the table shifted subtly. William and Margaret exchanged a look, and Sarah realized she had touched on a painful subject. "We did," said Margaret, her voice softer. "David." "He must miss you," said Lily innocently. "He must," replied William, but his voice didn't sound convincing. Sarah decided to change the subject. "Tomorrow is Monday. Lily has school. Would you like to do something special?" "We could go for a walk around the neighborhood," suggested Margaret. "Get to know the place we're in a little better." "Good idea. And if you feel comfortable, you can come with me to pick Lily up from school. I'm sure she'd love to introduce her grandparents to her teachers and friends." Lily clapped her hands. "Can we, Grandpa? Can we, Grandma? I really want to show you to everyone." "Of course we can, sweetie," said William, moved. "We'll go with great pride." That night Sarah was organizing some clothes when she heard a soft knock on her bedroom door. "Come in," she said. It was Margaret in a robe and slippers. "Dear, can I talk with you for a little bit?" "Of course, sit here," said Sarah, indicating the bed. Margaret sat and was silent for a moment. "I wanted to thank you," she finally said. "Not just for taking us in, but for the way you're treating us." "How do you mean?" "With dignity. Without pity, without charity. Like real family." Sarah felt her eyes well up. "That's how I feel about you," she said. "Like family." "Lily, she's a blessing in anyone's life," said Margaret. "But I wanted to tell you something." "Go ahead." "We had a granddaughter, Claire. She was Lily's age when we lost her." Sarah swallowed hard. "What happened?" It was an accident. She was playing in the street and a car—" Margaret couldn't finish the sentence. "My God, Margaret, I'm so sorry." That was 5 years ago. And after Claire was gone, our David changed a lot. He became bitter, angry, started drinking. He blames us, says if we had watched her better. But it wasn't your fault. We know that in our heads, but our hearts hurt just the same. And our son never could deal with the pain. It kept us away from him, from our daughter-in-law, from the other grandson they have. Sarah hugged Margaret. "So that's why you were so emotional about Lily yesterday?" "Yes, it's been a long time since we've felt like someone's grandparents," said Margaret, crying softly. "And Lily, she has the same affectionate little ways as Claire." "They would have gotten along so well," said Sarah, also crying. "Absolutely, that's why I wanted to thank you. It's not just the house, it's not just the food. It's the chance to be grandparents again, to have a little granddaughter to care for and love. Margaret, you're not here out of charity. You're filling our home with love and joy. Lily has never been so happy. And neither have we. William was almost falling into depression, thinking he wasn't good for anything anymore. Yesterday, he smiled a real smile again." The two women talked until late, sharing stories of their lives, their pains, and their joys. Sarah talked about her husband's death, about her fears of raising Lily alone, about the loneliness that sometimes suffocated her. Margaret spoke about the happy years at the mill, about the joy of being a mother, about the pain of losing her granddaughter and then her son, not to death, but to bitterness. "Do you think David might show up here looking for you?" asked Sarah. "I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. He was very angry when we left. And if he does show up, we'll see. But now we have a place to stay, right? We don't have to be afraid of having nowhere to go anymore. You always will. This house is yours now too." On Monday morning, Sarah left to take Lily to school, while William and Margaret stayed organizing the house. The girl was eager to tell everyone about her new grandparents. "Miss Thompson," shouted Lily as soon as she arrived at school, "now I have a grandpa and a grandma." The teacher smiled. "That's wonderful, Lily. Where were they?" "They were lost on the street, but now they live with us." Sarah approached to explain the situation better to the teacher. "It's a long story," she said, "but in short, we're helping an elderly couple who are in a difficult situation." "How beautiful," said the teacher. "And is Lily happy?" "Radiant. She talks of nothing else." "And are they coming to pick her up today?" "They are," Lily insisted. In the afternoon, William and Margaret were waiting at the school gate along with other grandparents. Lily came running out. "Grandpa, Grandma," she shouted, throwing herself into their arms. "So, little granddaughter, how was school today?" "Really good. I told everyone about you. The teacher wants to meet you." Teacher Ms. Thompson approached. "So these are Lily's grandparents?" "We are," said William proudly. "I'm William, she's Margaret. Very nice to meet you. Lily talks of nothing else. She's over the moon with happiness." "So are we," said Margaret. "She's a blessing in our lives." On the way home, Lily chattered non-stop, telling them about the lessons, about the snack, about her friends' reactions when they found out she finally had grandparents. "Grace said you must make really yummy cake. Do you?" "Yes, we do," laughed Margaret. "How about we make a chocolate cake tomorrow? With frosting? With frosting and sprinkles." "Yay!" Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to leave a like and especially to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The days passed in a pleasant and cozy routine. William woke up early and made coffee, while Margaret prepared lunch. Lily left for school excited, knowing that when she returned, her grandparents would be waiting for her. Sarah worked more peacefully, knowing her daughter was well cared for and happy. At night, the family gathered for dinner and conversation, telling each other about their day. It was on a Thursday that everything changed. Sarah was in the workshop sewing when she heard raised voices coming from the living room. She went out to see what was happening and found a tall, strong man arguing with William Bennett. "I said you're coming with me now," shouted the man. "Enough of this nonsense." "David, please," said William, trying to calm the situation. "Let's talk calmly." Sarah Miller realized this was the couple's son. Lily was clinging to Margaret Bennett's skirt, frightened by the shouting. "Excuse me," said Sarah, approaching. "Who are you?" "I'm David, their son," said the man, pointing to William and Margaret Bennet. "And I've come to get my parents." "We don't want to go, son," said Margaret, her voice firm. "We're fine here." "Fine here with a stranger?" David looked Sarah up and down with contempt. "You don't even know them. What interest do you have in keeping two old people in your house?" Sarah felt anger rising. "My interest is the same as theirs in staying here," she replied, controlling her voice. "To take care of each other." "Take care?" David laughed sarcastically. "You can barely take care of yourself. Look at this small house. There's hardly enough space for the three of you." "David, don't talk like that," said William, embarrassed. "Sarah and Lily have welcomed us very well." "Grandpa, don't go," said Lily, tears in her eyes. "Please, don't go." David looked at the girl with impatience. "Girl, they are not your grandparents. They are my parents, and they are coming with me now." "Yes, they are," shouted Lily. "They chose to be my grandparents, and I chose them." "Leave the girl out of this," said Sarah, pulling Lily close to her. "My parents are being manipulated," continued David. "You took advantage of them being vulnerable to bring them here. What's your interest in this? Their retirement dollars." "How dare you accuse me of that?" Sarah was indignant. "David, stop it," said Margaret, angry. "Sarah has never asked us for a cent. It's she who has been spending her own money on us. You don't realize it, but you're being deceived. Nobody does this for free." William stood up, losing his patience. "Son, you are being unfair. Sarah saved us when we were on the street with nowhere to go. Remember? You put us out." "I didn't put anyone out. I said you had to leave because of the baby." "It's the same thing," retorted Margaret. "You gave us no alternative. You didn't care to find out where we would stay. Because I thought you would look for a decent place, not just move into anyone's house." Sarah took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "David, your parents are adults and can decide where they want to live. They are here because they want to be. They are here because you convinced them. You probably filled their heads with promises." "What promises?" asked Sarah. "The only promise I made was that they would be welcome in our family." "Our family? You don't even know them." "She knows us better than you do," said Margaret, surprising everyone with the hardness in her voice. "Sarah knows everything about us. She knows about Claire, she knows our pains, she knows our dreams. And you, when was the last time you took an interest in our lives?" David was silent for a moment, clearly shaken by the mention of his daughter. "That's beside the point," he said finally. "You are my parents and you are coming with me." "We are not going," said William firmly. "Not this time. Then I'll call the police. I'll say you are keeping two elderly people against their will." "Go ahead," challenged Sarah. "And when they get here, your parents will say they are here because they want to be." Lily, who had been quiet until then, broke free from Sarah and ran to David. "Please, Uncle," she said with tears in her eyes. "Let them stay. They are happy here. We take very good care of them." David looked at the girl, and for a moment his expression softened. "Girl, you don't understand. They are my parents. They have to live with me." "But you don't like them," said Lily with the brutal honesty of children. "If you did, you wouldn't have sent them away." It wasn't like that." "Yes, it was. They told me. You said they were old and useless." David Bennet blushed, ashamed. "I was upset. I said things I didn't mean." "So why don't you apologize to them?" The child's simple question left the man speechless. "It's complicated, sweetie." "No, it's not. When we do something wrong, we say sorry. Mommy taught me." Sarah Miller watched the scene with a heavy heart. She could see that beneath all that anger, David was suffering too. "David," she said softly, "why don't you talk to your parents calmly? No shouting, no threats. I need them to come home. My wife is pregnant. She's not well. She needs help. And you think after everything that happened they'll want to help?" David hung his head. "I don't know, but I have no one else." "Oh, so—" "Now you have no one else," said Margaret Bennet, bitter. "When you threw us out, did you have no one then?" "Mom, I made a mistake. I was desperate with Jennifer's complicated pregnancy, with the bills, with everything. And you took it out on us." "Yes, I'm sorry. William Bennett approached his son. David, you are our only son. We love you, we always will, but you hurt us deeply. I know, Dad, I know. And now you want us to forget everything and come back as if nothing happened? David was silent. I don't know what to do, he said finally. Jennifer is in the hospital. The doctor said she needs complete rest. I have to work to pay the hospital bills. I can't take care of her and the house at the same time. And you thought you could just snap your fingers and we'd come running to help? Asked Margaret. I thought, you're my parents. You've always helped me when I needed it. And did you help us when we needed it? William retorted. David didn't answer. Son, William continued, we spent weeks sleeping on the street. On the street, David. 2 old folks over 60 sleeping on a park bench because their own son threw them out. I didn't know that. You didn't know because you didn't want to know, Margaret interrupted. You didn't call once to ask if we were okay, if we needed anything. David began to cry. I was so angry at everything, at everyone. After Claire, I couldn't be the same anymore. The mention of the deceased granddaughter changed the atmosphere in the room. Lily, who didn't understand who Claire was, sensed it was something very sad. We were all so devastated when we lost Claire, said Margaret, more gently. But you pushed us away. You wouldn't let us share the pain with you. I couldn't. Every time I looked at you, I remembered her. I remembered that if you had watched her better. David, said William firmly, we've talked about this 1,000 times. It wasn't our fault. Claire ran after the ball. We couldn't have held her back. I know, in my head I know, but my heart... My heart won't accept it. Sarah Miller stepped closer. David, can I say something? He nodded. Losing a daughter must be the worst pain in the world. I can't even imagine. But pushing away the people who love you won't bring her back. It will only make you lose even more people. I know that, he said, wiping his eyes, but I don't know how to stop feeling angry. Start by talking about her with love, not anger, suggested Margaret. Claire wouldn't like to see her whole family torn apart because of her. Lily walked over to David. Uncle, was Claire your little girl? David nodded, unable to speak. She must be in heaven, right? Continued Lily. And she must be sad seeing everyone fighting. The girl's innocence touched David deeply. She must be, he agreed. So stop fighting with Grandpa and Grandma. Make peace. David looked at his parents, then at Sarah and Lily. I need to go. Jennifer is waiting. David, called William. We can talk again. But calmly, no fighting. Aren't you coming back with me? Not now, said Margaret. We need time to process all this. David nodded, defeated. Okay, but can I come here sometimes to talk? Of course, said Sarah. This house is open to you too. After David left, the house fell into a heavy atmosphere. Lily was frightened by the argument. William and Margaret were shaken, and Sarah questioned whether she had done the right thing by getting involved in such a complicated family situation. I'm sorry you had to go through that, said Sarah. It's not your fault, replied William. We knew he might show up one day. Do you want to leave? Asked Sarah, afraid of the answer. Go where? Said Margaret. This is our home now. Lily hugged them both. I don't want you to ever leave. We won't, sweetie, promised William. Don't worry. But Sarah sensed the situation had changed. David now knew where they were, and he would probably return. And from the things he had said, his situation at home really did seem desperate. At school the next day, the teacher noticed Lily was quieter than usual. Did something happen, Lily? My grandparents' son came to our house yesterday and shouted a lot, the girl recounted. He wants them to leave. And are they going? They said no, but I got scared. The teacher decided to call Sarah. Sarah, can I talk to you for a minute? Of course, Miss Thompson. What is it? Lily is worried about this situation with her grandparents. She said there was a fight yesterday. Sarah sighed. Yes. The couple's son showed up demanding they return to his home. And how did it end up? For now, they're staying with us, but the situation is complicated. May I make a suggestion? Of course. How about contacting the school's social worker? She can guide you on how to legalize this situation. Legalize? Yes. If the couple really wants to stay with you, it's better to get everything documented to avoid future problems. Sarah thanked her for the suggestion and promised to think about it. In the afternoon, when she went to pick up Lily, she found William and Margaret waiting at the school gate, but noticed they were more serious, more tense. "Is everything okay?" she asked. "David called this morning," Margaret told her. "His wife was rushed to the hospital. It seems the situation is serious." "Oh my, and how was he?" "Desperate," replied William. "He apologized for the things he said yesterday, said he's desperate and doesn't know what to do anymore." On the way home, Lily asked, "Grandpa, is Uncle David's wife very sick?" "Yes, sweetie. She's expecting a baby, but she's having complications." "And is Uncle David all alone?" "He is." "Poor Uncle David," said Lily, surprising the adults. "He must be very scared." "Why do you say that?" asked Sarah. "Because when you're in the hospital, I get very scared you won't come back, like when Daddy went to the hospital and never came back." Lily's words touched the hearts of the three adults deeply. The girl, in her innocence, could see beyond the anger and recognize David's suffering. "Lily," said Margaret, "how wise you are. It's because Mommy taught me that when people are mean, sometimes it's because they're suffering a lot." That night, during dinner, William made a decision. "Sarah, I'm going to visit Jennifer in the hospital," he announced. "William, are you sure?" asked Margaret. "I am. She is our daughter-in-law, the mother of our grandson, and she's in a difficult situation." "What if David doesn't want you to see her? Then we'll just come home, but I think it's worth trying." Sarah nodded. "I think it's a good idea." "Do you want me to come along?" "That would be good," said Margaret, "for moral support." "And can I come too?" asked Lily. "The hospital is no place for a child," said Sarah. "But you can stay with our neighbor, Mrs. Dorothy." The next day, after dropping Lily off at school, the three of them went to the hospital. Sarah stayed in the waiting room, while William and Margaret went up to Jennifer's room. David was sitting in a chair by the bed, looking terrible. He hadn't slept properly in days, and the unshaven beard and red eyes made that clear. "Dad? Mom?" he said, surprised. "What are you doing here?" "We came to see how Jennifer is doing," William replied. Jennifer opened her eyes and smiled weakly when she saw her in-laws. "I'm so glad you came," she said, her voice faint. "How are you, dear?" asked Margaret, approaching the bed. "Not too well. The baby wants to come early and I have to be on complete bed rest." "And what does the doctor say?" "That if I can hold on for a few more weeks, the baby has a good chance. But any exertion could trigger labor." David was watching the scene, clearly moved to see his parents there. "Dad, Mom, thank you for coming." "We're family, David," said William. "Even when we fight, we're still family." Margaret held Jennifer's hand. "Do you need anything? Any medicine, any special food?" "We need everything," said David. "I can barely manage work and coming here to care for her. The house is chaos. Davy is staying with the neighbor, but he misses his mother." "Davy is my other grandson?" asked Margaret. "Yes, he's 5 years old. He's scared with his mother in the hospital." "We could help," William suggested. David lifted his head, surprised. "How so?" "We could look after Davy, tidy up the house, make food, so you can focus on taking care of Jennifer." "But you don't live with me anymore. You live with that woman." "Sarah," corrected Margaret. "And we can help even while living there. It's not far." David fell silent, visibly conflicted. I don't deserve your help, not after the way I treated you." "David," said Jennifer with effort, "enough with that pride. You need help, and your parents are offering. Accept it. But they won't want to come back home because of me." "No one is asking us to come back," said William. "We're offering help. It's different." David began to cry. "Dad, I made so many mistakes. So many." "We know, son. But mistakes can be fixed. You don't just dwell on them." "How can you forgive me after everything?" "Because you are our son," Margaret said simply. "And we love you just the same." "And because Lily taught us something," William added. "Lily?" "Yes. She said that when people are mean, sometimes it's because they're hurting a lot. And we realized That's what was happening with you." David looked at his parents with admiration. "That girl really is special. She is. And she was worried about you yesterday. Said you must be scared just like she gets when someone in the family is in the hospital." "I really am," admitted David. "I'm terrified of losing Jennifer and the baby." "You won't lose them," said Margaret firmly. "We will help you get through this." They spent another hour at the hospital talking, making peace, planning how they could help. When they left, David accompanied them to the waiting room where Sarah was still waiting. "Sarah," said David, approaching her, "I owe you an apology too." "You don't need to, David." "Yes, I do. I said a lot of foolish things yesterday. You saved my parents when I abandoned them. I can never thank you enough for that." "We helped each other," said Sarah. "Your family brought a lot of joy to our home." "And Lily? How is she after the fight yesterday?" "Worried about you," replied Sarah, smiling. "She said you must be scared." David smiled for the first time in weeks. "That girl has a huge heart. She really does." "Sarah," said David, hesitant, "I know I have no right to ask for anything, but would you let my parents help me with the situation here? They don't need to go back home. They can keep living with you. But I really needed their help." "Of course," Sarah answered without hesitation. "They're adults. They can decide how they want to help." "And Miss, would you like to meet my son, Davy?" Sarah smiled. "I'd love to. Lily would be happy to have a cousin." On the way back home, William and Margaret were more upbeat than Sarah had seen them since they arrived. "Do you feel good about this decision to help?" asked Sarah. "I do," answered Margaret. "We can't abandon our son at a time like this." "Even after everything he did?" "Exactly because of everything he did," said William. "He needs to learn that family is for times like these." "And you don't want to go back to his house?" "No," said Margaret firmly. "Our home is with you now. But that doesn't stop us from helping our son." When they got home, Lily was already waiting eagerly to hear the news. "So, how is Uncle David's wife?" "She's better now that we visited," said Margaret, hugging the girl. "And you know what? You have a cousin." "A cousin?" Lily's eyes sparkled. "What's he like?" "He's 5, a little younger than you. His name is Davy." "When will I meet him?" "Soon," promised William. That night, Sarah was thinking about how life had changed in such a short time. 2 weeks ago, it was just her and Lily. Now they had William and Margaret living with them, David coming back into the family, a daughter-in-law in the hospital, and a new grandson to meet. It was a lot to process, but she felt good about all these changes. On Saturday, David brought Davy to meet his grandparents and the new family. The boy was shy and clearly scared by everything that was happening. "Davy," said David, "these are your grandparents, Grandpa William and Grandma Margaret." The boy waved timidly. "And this is Sarah and Lily. They're taking care of your grandparents." Lily approached her cousin with a big smile. "Hi, Davy. Want to see my toys?" At first, Davy hesitated, but Lily's naturalness ended up winning his trust. Soon the two were playing in the room. "He was very scared," David told Sarah. "He doesn't really understand what's happening with his mother." "It's normal. Lily was like that too when her father was hospitalized." "How did you deal with it?" "With lots of affection and lots of patience, and by being honest as much as possible." David nodded. "Sarah, can I say something?" "Of course. I was very jealous of you." "Jealous?" "Yes. Jealous of seeing my parents happy with you, of seeing that they chose to stay here instead of coming back home. I felt replaced." Sarah understood. "David, your parents didn't choose us over you. They just found here what they weren't finding there: respect, affection, a sense of purpose. I know, I treated them like they were a burden. You treat them like family. And you can treat them that way too. It's not too late. I hope it's not." During lunch, Sarah watched the interaction between everyone. David was trying hard to be kind to his parents. William and Margaret were beaming to have their son and grandson there, and the children played as if they'd been cousins for years. "Uncle David," Lily said suddenly, "can you visit us always?" "Can I?" "Of course you can," said Sarah. "You're family now." "Thank you," said David, moved. "Really, thank you for everything." After lunch, when David and Davy had left, Margaret approached Sarah. Daughter, you have no idea how much good you've done for our family. I didn't do anything special. Yes, you did. You taught us that family isn't just blood. It's love, it's care, it's a choice, and you chose us. You chose us too. And it was the best choice we've ever made in our lives. In the following weeks, a new routine was established. William and Margaret divided their time between taking care of Lily and helping David with Davy. Sarah continued with her sewing work, but now with a support network she didn't have before. Jennifer was released from the hospital after 3 weeks, but still needed rest. The grandparents took turns caring for her and David's house, while Sarah looked after the children. It's like we've become one big real family, Lily commented one night during dinner. That's exactly what happened, agreed William. One big, close-knit family. And Aunt Jennifer's baby, when is it going to be born? In a few weeks, replied Margaret, if all goes well. And then I'll have a baby cousin too? Yes, you will. Lily clapped her hands, excited. I never thought I'd have such a big family. Neither did we, said Sarah, smiling. One afternoon, as Sarah was sewing, she heard a knock at the door. She went to open it and found a woman around 50, very well dressed, with an unfriendly expression. Good afternoon. Are you Sarah? I am. How can I help you? I'm Miss Jenkins, the social worker for this area. I received a complaint about the situation of 2 elderly people in this house. Sarah's heart froze. What kind of complaint? That you are keeping 2 elderly people here against their will, possibly for your own financial benefit. Sarah took a deep breath. May I know who made this complaint? That's confidential. May I come in to speak with the elderly residents? Sarah had no choice but to let Miss Jenkins in. William and Margaret were in the living room helping Lily with her homework. Good afternoon, said Miss Jenkins formally. I am the social worker, Miss Jenkins. I received a complaint about your situation here. William and Margaret looked at each other, worried. What kind of complaint? Asked William. That you are being kept here against your will. Against our will, and repeated Margaret, indignant. Who told that lie? So you are here of your own free will? Of course we are, said William. This is our home now. And you, Miss Sarah, do you charge them anything to stay here? Charge? Margaret was growing increasingly indignant. She pays our expenses. She has never asked us for a single cent. Miss Jenkins noted everything on a clipboard. And do you have family? Children? We have a son, replied William. David. And why don't you live with him? William and Margaret looked at each other again. It's a long story, said Margaret. I have time. They told Miss Jenkins the whole story, being thrown out of their son's house, the weeks on the street, meeting Sarah and Lily, the reconciliation with David. And now? Does Mr. David want you to return to his home? No, said William. He understands that we want to stay here, but we help him when he needs it. And you, Miss Sarah, Miss Jenkins addressed Sarah, why did you decide to take in 2 people you didn't know? Sarah chose her words carefully. Because my daughter never had grandparents, and they needed a family. We complete each other. Do you receive any financial benefit from this arrangement? Financial benefit? Sarah laughed. My expenses have increased, but the emotional benefits are immense. Ms. Jenkins asked a few more questions and then prepared to leave. Well, from my assessment, there is no problem here. You are well cared for and clearly wish to be here. I will close the case. After Ms. Jenkins left, Sarah kept thinking about who could have made that complaint. Do you have any idea who it might have been? I have no idea, said William. Nobody knew about our situation here. Except, began Margaret, hesitant. Unless who? Jennifer mentioned yesterday that her mother is always asking about us. She never really liked us. David's mother-in-law? Yes, Mrs. Higgins. She always thought we were a burden in David's life. Do you think she would make a report like that? It's possible, said William. She's one of those people who think they know what's best for everyone. That evening, David showed up at the house visibly upset. Dad, Mum, did you get a visit from a social worker today? We did, confirmed Margaret. Why? Because I found out who made the report. It was Mrs. Higgins, Jennifer's mother. I knew it, sighed William. She's telling everyone that you are being exploited by a stranger. that it's absurd you're not taking care of her own daughter. Sarah felt anger rise. Your mother-in-law has no business meddling in our lives. I told her that. I said you are doing very well here, that you are happy, that you are helping us when we need it. And what did she say? She said I'm a terrible son for letting my parents live with strangers instead of taking care of them at home. And what did you say? David smiled. I said my parents live with a family that loves and respects them, not with strangers. And that if she wants to meddle in someone's life, she should mind her own business. William patted his son on the shoulder, proud. Well said, my son. Dad, I learned that family isn't who shares the same blood. It's who is by your side when you need them. And you found that here. And you found it too, said Sarah. You are welcome here whenever you want. Thank you, Sarah, from the bottom of my heart. The following days were calm, but Sarah noticed that Margaret was quieter than usual. Did something happen, Margaret? It's just... I keep thinking about what that woman said in the report. What about it? Are we not being a burden to you and to Lily? Sarah stopped what she was doing and sat down next to Margaret. Margaret, look at me, she said, taking the elderly woman's hands. You transformed our lives. Lily has never been so happy. I have never felt so supported. You are not a burden. You are a blessing. But we are a lot of work. We cost money. And you also give love, companionship, help with Lily, joy in the home. Do you think that's worth nothing? Margaret smiled. When you say it like that, it seems like we really are useful. You are much more than useful. You are essential. William appeared in the living room. What are you two talking about? Margaret was thinking she's a burden, Sarah told him. A burden? William laughed. Margaret, have you lost your mind? It's just that woman doesn't know us. She doesn't know our story. What could she possibly know about our family? Our family, repeated Margaret, savoring the words. I like how that sounds. Well, that's exactly what we are, said Sarah. A family. That Friday, Jennifer had the baby. David called in the early hours to share the news. Dad, she's born. It's a girl. Everyone is fine. William woke everyone in the house with his shouts of joy. Lily, Sarah, wake up. Our granddaughter is born. Lily jumped out of bed, sleepy but excited. The baby is born. She's born, a little girl. What are you going to name her? William spoke with David on the phone. What are you going to name the baby? There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then David answered something that made William start to cry. He said they're going to name her Lily Claire, William said, emotional. Lily after our Lily, and Claire in honor of our granddaughter who is gone. Everyone in the room was moved. It was a beautiful way for David to honor the memory of the daughter he lost and celebrate the new life that had arrived. When can we meet her? Asked Lily. Soon, sweetie. Let Mommy and the baby rest first. On Sunday, the whole family went to the hospital to meet Lily Claire. She was a tiny, perfect little baby with lots of dark hair and rosy cheeks. She's beautiful, said Lily, admiringly. Can I hold her? You can, but you have to be careful, said Jennifer Bennett, passing the baby to Lily. The girl held her cousin with all the care in the world, with an expression of pure adoration on her face. Hi, Lily Claire, she whispered. I'm your cousin Lily. I'll always take care of you. Sarah Miller watched the scene with tears in her eyes. In just a few months, her only daughter had gained grandparents, a cousin, and now a baby cousin. David, William Bennett said to his son, thank you for putting Lily in the baby's name. Dad, Lily brought you back into our family. She deserves that tribute. And Claire, added Margaret Bennett. Our Claire would be happy to know she has a little sister with her name. David nodded, too emotional to speak. When they got back home, Lily wouldn't stop talking about her little cousin. Mommy, when she grows up a little, can I teach her how to draw? Of course you can. And Grandpa can teach her how to play checkers, and Grandma can teach her how to crochet. Absolutely, laughed Margaret Bennett. Our family is getting bigger and bigger. And better, agreed Sarah Miller. That night, after Lily fell asleep, Sarah stayed on the porch talking with William and Margaret Bennett. Have you ever thought about how much our lives have changed since that Sunday when you showed up at the door? She said. We think about it every day, replied William. It feels like a dream. A good dream, added Margaret. Sometimes I'm afraid I'll wake up and find out none of this was real. It is real, Sarah assured them, and it will keep being real. Sarah, said Margaret, can I ask you a question? Of course. Don't you ever want to get married again? To have more children? Sarah was silent for a moment, thinking. Sometimes I do, she admitted. But now our family is already complete, don't you think? It is, agreed William. But if someone special comes into your life, we won't be a hindrance. A hindrance? Sarah laughed. You're exactly the opposite. Any man who wants to be part of my life will have to accept that you come as part of the package. And if he doesn't accept it? Then he's not the man for me, said Sarah, without hesitation. The two elderly people smiled, touched by the declaration. We love you, daughter, said Margaret. And I love you too. So much. The following month, during a birthday party for Lily at school, Sarah met Mark Miller, the father of one of her daughter's classmates. He had recently divorced and was raising his daughter alone. Do you live alone with your daughter? He asked during the party. No, I live with my daughter and my adoptive parents, replied Sarah naturally. Adoptive parents? Sarah briefly told the story of how William and Margaret Bennett had come into her life. What an incredible story, said Mark. Your daughter was lucky to get grandparents like that. We were all lucky, Sarah corrected him. Mark was a physical education teacher and showed genuine interest in the family's story. Over the following weeks, he started showing up more at school activities, always finding a reason to talk to Sarah. I think that teacher is interested in you, commented Margaret, who had noticed how often Mark appeared. You think? Said Sarah, pretending she hadn't noticed. We do, said William, amused. And he seems like a good guy. You wouldn't mind if I went out with someone? Daughter, said Margaret, we only want your happiness. If you find someone who makes you happy and treats you and Lily well, we'll be happy too. And if he doesn't like you? Then you send him packing, said William, making Sarah laugh. When Mark finally asked Sarah out, she accepted, but made a point of making it clear from the start that he would need to know and accept her entire family. Big family? He asked. Quite big, and very close. The first meeting was a coffee on Saturday afternoon. Sarah told more details of the family history, and Mark listened to everything with attention and admiration. You did a very beautiful thing, he said. Not just anyone would have the generosity to welcome strangers like that. It wasn't just generosity, it was necessity, really. We completed each other. And your daughter? How did she react to all this? She was the one who asked for grandparents. Sarah laughed. Actually, it was all her idea. A wise girl. Very. Sometimes I think she's more mature than I am. When Mark went to drop Sarah off at home, she invited him in to meet the family. Everyone, this is Mark, Sarah introduced. Mark, these are William and Margaret, and you already know Lily. Pleasure to meet you, said Mark, greeting everyone warmly. Sarah told me a lot about you. We hope good things, William joked. Only good things, Mark assured. Lily, who was drawing at the table, looked up to assess the visitor. Do you like my mommy? She asked with the typical frankness of children. Mark blushed a little but answered honestly, Yes, I do. She's a very special person. And do you like children? I like them very much. I work with children at school. And do you like grandpas and grandmas? Of course I do. Lily nodded, satisfied with the answers. Then it's okay, she said, returning to her drawing. Everyone laughed at Lily's approval. Mark stayed for dinner and integrated naturally into the family dynamic. He talked with William about football, praised Margaret's cooking, helped Lily with a math problem, and treated everyone with genuine affection and respect. Did you like him? Sarah asked after Mark had left. We did, said Margaret. He seems to be a good man. And he really likes you, William added. You can tell by the way he looks at you. And he wasn't bothered by our big family. On the contrary, said Margaret, he seemed to like it, said he always wanted to have a big family. In the following months, Mark became a constant presence in the house. He got along well with everyone, helped with the children, participated in the family gatherings that now included David, Jennifer, Davy, and the baby Lily Claire. "Our family just keeps growing," Lily commented one day. "First the grandparents came, then Uncle David came back, then came Davy, then Lily Claire, now Mark." "And are you happy about that?" Sarah asked. "Very happy. I always wanted to have a big family. Now I have the biggest family in the world." "In the world, maybe not," Sarah laughed, "but one of the closest for sure." 1 year after the day William and Margaret knocked on Sarah's door, the family decided to have a party to celebrate the family's anniversary. 1 year, said William, emotional. "It feels like yesterday." "And it feels like a lifetime," Margaret added. "I can't imagine our life without you anymore." "Nor we without you," said Sarah. The party was at David's house, which was now larger and more airy after some renovations. The whole family was there, Sarah and Lily, William and Margaret, David and Jennifer with their children, and Mark, who was now fully integrated into the group. During the party, David gave an emotional speech. "1 year ago, I was a bitter, resentful person who had lost my family because of my own anger. Today I'm here surrounded by a family bigger and closer than ever, and that was only possible because a generous woman decided to open her home and her heart to 2 strangers." Everyone applauded Sarah, who turned red with emotion. "And because 2 children taught us that family is who we choose to love," David continued. "Lily, who asked her mom for grandparents. And Claire, who, even though she's no longer here, taught us through her little sister that love is stronger than pain." There wasn't a dry eye at the party. "Our family is different," said David. "We don't follow the normal standards, but that's exactly why it's so special. We've proven that family isn't just blood. It's choice, it's love, it's mutual care." Mark stood up to speak as well. "I feel very privileged to have been accepted into this amazing family. You have taught me the true meaning of unity, generosity, forgiveness, and especially," he looked at Sarah, "you taught me that love can create bonds stronger than any biological kinship." That night, when everyone had already left, Sarah stayed on the porch looking at the stars. William and Margaret joined her. "What are you thinking about, asked Margaret. "About how unpredictable life is," replied Sarah. "A year ago I was a lonely widow raising a daughter by myself. Today I have a huge family. I found love again, and I'm happier than I ever imagined possible." "And we were 2 abandoned old folks, sleeping on the street," said William. "Today we have a daughter, a granddaughter, a grandson, a great-granddaughter, and a son-in-law." "Son-in-law?" Sarah laughed. "Well, not officially yet," said Margaret. "But we already consider Mark part of the family." "You really like him?" "We like him very much," said William. "He makes you happy, treats Lily like a daughter, respects us, gets along with everyone. What more could we want?" "Nothing," admitted Sarah. "He's perfect." "So what are you waiting for to marry him?" Margaret teased. "Margaret? What? We're not getting any younger. We want to see you happy and well married." "And we want more family parties," added William. "Wedding, christening of your children." "Easy, easy," Sarah laughed. "One thing at a time." But deep down she knew William and Margaret were right. Mark was a wonderful man, and she was deeply in love with him. 2 months later, Mark proposed to Sarah during a Sunday family lunch. He had prepared everything in advance, asking for William and Margaret's blessing, who were overjoyed by the proposal. "Sarah," said Mark, kneeling in the living room in front of the whole family, "you completely changed my life. You gave me not only your love, but an entire family to love as well. Will you marry me?" "Yes," shouted Sarah, even before seeing the ring. Lily jumped into her mother's neck. William and Margaret cried with emotion, and even David and Jennifer, who were present, applauded enthusiastically. "Now our family is really complete," said Lily, overjoyed. "Complete for now," Mark teased. "How about some little brothers for you?" "Little brothers?" Lily's eyes sparkled. "Really?" Sarah blushed. "Mark?" "What?" He laughed. We'll have to do our part to keep this family growing." "He's right," said William. "Margaret and I aren't getting any younger. We need more grandchildren to spoil." "William, it's true," insisted Margaret. "We want to see this house full of children running around." The wedding was set for 6 months later, in a simple but moving ceremony at the neighborhood chapel. William walked Sarah down the aisle, since she didn't have a father to do it. "Thank you for everything," she whispered in his ear on the way to the altar. "Thank you for giving us a family," he replied, emotional. The ceremony was beautiful. Lily was the maid of honor, Davy carried the rings, and Lily Clare slept peacefully in Margaret's lap throughout the entire ceremony. At the reception, Mark gave another speech. "Sarah, when I met you, you told me your family was big and close-knit. I couldn't imagine how much. Today, I feel like the luckiest man in the world to be part of this amazing family. William, Margaret, thank you for accepting me as a son. David, Jennifer, thank you for welcoming me as a brother. Lily, thank you for accepting me as a father. And Sarah, thank you for showing me that love can create miracles." The party lasted until the early morning, filled with much affection, joy, and emotion. For their honeymoon, Sarah and Mark traveled to the coast, but they stayed away for only a week because Lily missed them, and William and Margaret also missed the couple. "You're back early," Margaret observed when they arrived. "We missed the family," admitted Mark. "Next time, take us with you," William joked. "William," scolded Margaret, "a honeymoon is for being alone." "Ah, they've already had a week alone. Now it's time to come back to the family." Everyone laughed at William's peculiar logic. 6 months after the wedding, Sarah discovered she was pregnant. The news was celebrated by the whole family. "A little brother," shouted Lily, beaming. "Or a little sister." "Which do you prefer?" asked Sarah. "Either. I just want them to be very healthy and to like drawing." William and Margaret were over the moon at the prospect of another grandchild. "Our house is going to have to grow," said Margaret. 4 people in the main bedroom is a lot." "That's true," agreed Mark. "I was thinking about building an extension." "No extension needed," said William. "We'll move to the small back room and leave the big room for you 3. "Absolutely not," protested Sarah. "You stay in the room you're in." "Sweetheart, we're old. We don't need the space. You're the ones starting a family." "You are part of our family," insisted Mark. "The house belongs to all of us." In the end, they decided to do a small renovation, creating 1 more bedroom and enlarging the living room. During the pregnancy, Sarah was very well cared for by the whole family. Margaret made special meals, William carried the heavy groceries, Lily helped with the household chores, and Mark constantly pampered her. "I've never seen a pregnant woman so well cared for," commented the doctor at a checkup. "It's like you have a support team." "I really do," laughed Sarah. "The best team in the world." The baby was born on a sunny spring morning. It was a boy, who was named Leo, in honor of the angel who, according to Sarah, had sent William and Margaret into her life. "Leo," whispered Margaret, holding the baby in her arms. "Welcome to the family, my little grandson." "Another Leo for our family," said William, remembering the boy from the story Sarah had told on the first day. "Yes," agreed Sarah. "It seems the Leos bring us luck." Lily, now 8 years old, took on the role of big sister with great pride and responsibility. "Mummy, can I teach him to draw when he grows up?" "Of course you can. And can Grandpa teach him to play checkers? And can Grandma make little crochet things for him?" "Absolutely," said Margaret, already imagining all the little treats she would make for the new grandson. The house became even busier with Leo's arrival, but also happier. The baby was very calm and smiley and won everyone over from the first day. David and Jennifer came to visit often, bringing Davy and Lily Clare to play with their cousins. Sunday afternoons at Sarah's house became a family tradition. "Our family has turned into a little village," Mark joked one Sunday, watching all the children playing in the backyard while the adults chatted on the porch. "A very close-knit village," added David. "Sometimes I think about what would have happened if Sarah hadn't opened the door for my parents that day." "Don't think about what could have happened," said Sarah. "Think about what actually happened, and what is still to happen." "What is still to happen?" asked Margaret, curious. "A lot of things. Leo will grow up, go to school, maybe we'll have more children. Lily Clare will start walking and talking. Davy will become a little young man. Lily is about to become a teenager, and we are getting older, said William thoughtfully. And you will continue to be loved and cared for by all of us, Carlos assured. Yes, agreed Sarah. This family is forever. 2 years later, when Leo took his first steps, the family was already completely settled into the new dynamic. The house had been expanded once more to comfortably accommodate everyone. Look at that, said Margaret, watching Leo toddle toward Lily. Our baby is growing up. And what a beautiful child, said William, proud of his grandson. Leo really was a beautiful child, with curly brown hair and large, expressive eyes. He already showed a strong personality and great intelligence. He's going to be an artist like his sister, predicted Lily, who had inherited the artistic gift and already drew very well for her age. Or a soccer player like his dad, joked Carlos. Or he'll be whatever he wants to be, said Sarah. With a family like this supporting him, he can be anything. One afternoon, Sarah received an unexpected phone call. It was from a local TV journalist. Mrs. Miller, my name is Rachel. I'm a journalist. We received a very moving letter from a viewer telling your family's story. We would like to do a feature on you. A feature on us? Yes. The story of how you formed a family through solidarity really touched our viewer. She said she was inspired by you. Sarah talked with the family about the invitation. Everyone agreed to participate, thinking the story could inspire other people. The TV crew arrived on a Saturday morning and filmed the family's routine. They showed the house, the children playing, William teaching Leo to play checkers, Margaret cooking with Lily, Carlos helping with household chores. During the interviews, each told their part of the story. It all started when Lily asked for grandparents, Sarah recounted, and I realized there were 2 people there who needed family as much as we did. We were lost in life, said William, literally lost, and found a home where we least expected it. This house saved us, added Margaret. It gave us back our dignity, our purpose, the joy of living. My mom always said that family is who we choose to love, said Lily, repeating the words Sarah had spoken years before. And we chose each other. The feature aired 2 weeks later, in a special edition about family. The title was The Family Born from a Request, How Solidarity Transformed 5 Lives into One Love Story. The impact was enormous. The TV station received hundreds of calls from people touched by the story. Sarah received letters, emails, and even visits from people wanting to meet the family. You've become famous, joked David. Famous for loving each other, said Margaret. It's not a bad kind of fame. Some of the people who made contact had similar stories. Elderly people abandoned by their families, small families wanting to grow, lonely people seeking connection. I think we should do something to help these people, Sarah suggested. Like what? Asked Carlos. I'm not sure. Maybe organize get-togethers, create a support network, something like that. The idea evolved, and over time, Sarah and the family created an informal support group for unconventional families. They would meet once a month at the house, sharing experiences and creating connections. Our house has become a community center, observed William, seeing the living room full of people at one of these meetings. And isn't it wonderful, said Sarah, to be able to help other people find what we found. The group grew so much that they had to move to a larger location. The school where Carlos worked lent its auditorium for the monthly meetings. You've started a movement, the school principal said to Carlos. They're changing how people see family. We didn't create anything, he replied. We just showed that family can be built, not just inherited. 5 years after William and Margaret arrived, the family decided to organize a big celebration party, not just for themselves, but for all the families that had connected through the group. The party was in the city park, with over 200 people, traditional families, blended families, seniors adopted by young families, young people welcomed by seniors, intergenerational families of every possible configuration. Look what you've done, David said to Sarah during the party. You've created an entire community based on love. We didn't do it alone, Sarah replied. Each of these families did their part. We just started it. You planted the seed, insisted David. During the party, several people gave moving testimonials about how Sarah's family story had inspired their own journeys of building family. "I was a lonely widow," shared an elderly woman at the microphone. "After hearing your story, I opened my home to 2 teenage sisters who were in a difficult situation. Today, they are my granddaughters in my heart." "My wife and I couldn't have children," said a young man. "Inspired by you, we adopted 3 siblings who were separated in different shelters. Today, our house is a constant party." Story after story, people shared how the courage of one family had inspired dozens of others. "Lily," Sarah said to her daughter, who was now 12, "you know all this started with your request for grandparents?" "I know," Lily replied, smiling, "and I knew it would work." "How did you know?" "Because when you truly love, love always grows. It never shrinks." The teenager's wisdom moved Sarah. "Where did you learn that?" "From you," Lily said simply, "by watching our family all these years." Leo, now 4 years old, came running up. "Mommy, Grandpa William is telling a story to the kids over at the playground. Can I go?" "Yes, son. He's the best storyteller in the world," said Leo, running off. "He really is," agreed Sarah, watching William surrounded by children at the playground, gesturing animatedly while telling some adventure. "And Grandma Margaret is teaching the ladies how to crochet," added Lily. "There's a huge line of women wanting to learn." Margaret had become a sort of community grandmother, always willing to teach, advise, or simply listen to whoever needed it. "They're special," said Mark, hugging Sarah around the waist. "We all are," Sarah retorted. "Every person here is special in their own way." As the party was winding down, a little girl of about 6 approached Lily. "Miss," she said, tugging on Lily's skirt, "is it true your mum adopted your grandparents?" "Not exactly," Lily explained, bending down to the girl's level. "We adopted each other, all together." "What do you mean?" "We chose to be family to each other, not because someone told us to, but because we wanted to." The girl thought for a moment. "Can I choose a family too?" "Of course you can. Everyone can. You just have to have love in your heart and the courage to share it." The conversation touched Sarah deeply as she watched from afar. Lily had perfectly understood the essence of everything they had lived. That night, when everyone had returned home and the children were sleeping, the original family gathered on the porch to talk about the day. "It was beautiful," said Margaret, "to see so many happy people, so many families built with love." "And to think it started here, in this house," added William, "with a little girl asking for grandparents and a mother generous enough to grant the request." "It wasn't generosity," said Sarah for the 1000th time. "It was a mutual need. We needed each other." "It was both things," insisted Mark, "and it was perfect." "What do you think will happen from now on?" asked Sarah. "More love, more family, more beautiful stories," said Margaret without hesitation. "And more grandchildren," added William, looking meaningfully at Sarah and Mark. "William," protested Sarah, laughing. "What? Leo needs a little brother, and we need more grandchildren to spoil." "You can stop right there," said Mark. "In due time, maybe another one will come." "In due time," agreed Sarah. "Our family is already perfect as it is." "Perfect and constantly growing," corrected Margaret. "Just like love," said William. "Always growing, never diminishing." 3 years later, Sarah and Mark had another daughter, Sophie. The house needed another renovation, but nobody minded. On the contrary, everyone was overjoyed with the arrival of the new member. Sophie was born into a house full of love, with older siblings eager to care for her, experienced grandparents ready to spoil her, and uncles, aunts, and cousins forming an incredible support network. "Now it is," declared Lily, now 15, holding her newborn baby sister. "Our family is complete." "You said the same thing when Leo was born," reminded Sarah. "It's just that the family becomes complete every time someone new arrives," explained Lily, with the logic only she possessed. "There's always room for more love." William and Margaret, now in their 70s, were radiant with their new granddaughter. Despite their advanced age, they remained active and present in the lives of all their grandchildren. "Grandpa, are you going to teach Sophie to play checkers too?" asked Leo, who at 7 was already an excellent player. Yes, I will, my grandson, when she grows up a little bit. And is Grandma going to make her little crochet clothes? I'm already making them, said Margaret, showing a tiny, delicate little sweater. Pink, because she's a girl. Why can't it be blue? Asked Leo, always questioning. It can be any color, said Margaret, smiling. I'll make them in all colors for her to choose from when she grows up. The simple conversation about clothing colors perfectly illustrated how the family had evolved. Always open, always adaptable, always respectful of individual choices. David and Jennifer continued to be a constant presence in the family's life. Lily Claire, now 5 years old, was a lively and intelligent child, very much like Lily at the same age. Davy, at 12, had become a responsible and caring boy, especially protective of his younger cousins. Uncle Mark, said Davy at a family gathering. Can I ask you something? Of course, champ, what is it? Can you teach me to play soccer better? I want to make the school team. Of course I can, we'll practice every week. Thank you. You're the best uncle in the world. The naturalness with which Davy called Mark uncle, and how Mark took on the role of sports mentor, showed how the family ties had perfectly intertwined. One Sunday afternoon, while the whole family was gathered in the backyard, Sarah stopped to observe the scene. Mark playing ball with the boys, Lily teaching Lily Claire to draw, William telling stories to anyone who would listen, Margaret knitting while rocking Sophie in her lap, David and Jennifer chatting quietly. What are you thinking about? Asked David, noticing Sarah's contemplative gaze. About how life is strange and wonderful, she replied. 10 years ago I was a lonely widow with a small daughter. Look at what we have now. What started with a simple request from a child became all this, said David, also observing the gathered family. And it will keep growing, said Sarah. In a few years these children will grow up, they'll get married, they'll have children. Our family will become even bigger. And William and Margaret are going to be great-grandparents. They really are, and they're going to love it. Margaret, who had overheard the conversation, approached. Are you talking about us? We were imagining you as great-grandparents, said Sarah. Oh, what a beautiful dream, sighed Margaret. I hope we live to see our great-grandchildren grow up. You will live, said David firmly. You're going to live many more years. This family needs you. We need this family too, said William, joining the group. You are our reason for living. And you are ours, Sarah retorted. Look, said William, pointing to the children playing. Lily is teaching Lily Claire how to draw. Leo is teaching Davy how to kick the ball. Sophie is sleeping peacefully in the middle of all this commotion. This is the perfect family. It really is, agreed Margaret. A family built with love, patience, and a lot of affection. That night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Sarah stayed in the kitchen, organizing a few things when Lily appeared. Mum, can I talk to you? Of course, sweetie, what is it? Lily sat at the kitchen table with a serious expression on her face. I wanted to thank you. Thank me for what? For listening to my request that day, for opening our home to Grandpa and Grandma. Sarah sat down next to her daughter. Lily, you don't have to thank me for that. It was the best decision I've ever made in my life. I know, but I wanted you to know that I always knew it would work out. How so? I had a feeling. When I saw them in the town square with that old suitcase looking lost, I felt in my heart that they were the family we were looking for. You never told me that, because I knew you'd think it was just a kid thing, but it wasn't. I really knew they would complete our family. Sarah hugged her daughter, moved. You are a very special girl, Lily. You always have been. I'm not special, Mom. I just paid attention to what my heart was saying. And what is your heart saying now? Lily thought for a moment before answering. That our family isn't finished growing yet. That more people are still going to come to be part of it. You think so? I'm sure. We have so much love to give that there will always be room for one more. And would you be happy if someone else came? I would. As long as it was someone who really needs a family. Just like Grandpa and Grandma needed. Sarah kissed her daughter's forehead. You've grown up, Lily. You're not the little girl who asked for grandparents anymore. I really have. But I'm still the girl who believes in the power of love to form families. And you always will be. And you'll always be right. 2 years later, when Sophie was 2 and starting to walk, the family received an unexpected visit. It was a social worker from City Hall, accompanied by a girl about 10 years old. "Mrs. Miller," said the social worker, "my name is Dr. Rachel. This is Mia. We are looking for a temporary family for her." Sarah looked at the girl, who was clearly frightened and wary. There was something in those eyes that reminded her of herself when she was a child and felt alone in the world. "What happened to her?" asked Sarah. "The grandmother who was taking care of her passed away. We have no other close relatives. She needs a temporary home while we process the adoption paperwork. Why did you come here? Your name is on the list of emergency foster families and—" The assistant hesitated. "We also heard about your family, your story. We thought Mia would adapt well here." Sarah looked at the girl again. Mia watched her carefully, as if trying to decide if she could trust her. "Would you like to come in and see our house?" offered Sarah. Mia nodded timidly. When they entered the room, the whole family was there. Mark watching TV, Lily doing homework, Leo playing with his toy cars, Sophie sleeping in Margaret's lap, William reading the newspaper. "Everyone," said Sarah, "this is Mia. She can stay with us for a while." Lily looked up from her homework and smiled at Mia. "Hi, Mia. How old are you?" 10, replied Mia softly. "Oh, that's cool. I'm 17. Can I be your temporary big sister?" Mia gave a half smile, the first since she arrived. Leo approached with his cars. "Want to play?" he offered, with the natural generosity of children. "Maybe," said Mia, sitting on the floor next to Leo. Margaret approached with Sophie in her arms. "What a pretty girl," she said affectionately. "You must be hungry. Would you like me to make you a sandwich?" "Yes," said Mia, and for the first time her voice sounded more confident. William folded the newspaper and joined the group. "And do you like games, Mia?" he asked. "I can teach you checkers." "I don't know how to play," she admitted. "Neither did I when I got here," said Leo, "but Grandpa William is the best teacher in the world." The naturalness with which the family received Mia moved Sarah. It was as if they had just been waiting for her to arrive. The social worker spoke with Sarah about the legal details and then left, leaving Mia with a few clothes in a small backpack. "Come on, I'll show you where you'll sleep," said Lily, taking Mia's hand. "You don't mind sharing a room with me?" asked Mia. "Of course not. I've always wanted a little sister. It'll be fun." During dinner, Mia gradually opened up. She told a bit about life with her grandmother, about how lonely she felt now, about her fear of what would happen to her. "You don't need to be afraid here," said William. "This is a safe place. Everyone here has felt lost at some point," added David, who had arrived for dinner. "But when we find each other, we become family." "Just like with me and Leo," said Davy, who was also present. "We arrived scared, but we soon became family." Lily Claire, always direct, asked, "Mia, do you want to be our cousin?" The simple question made Mia smile for real for the first time. "Yes," she said. "Done," declared Lily Claire. "Now you're family." Once again, Sarah was moved by the simplicity and wisdom of the children. In the following weeks, Mia adapted surprisingly well to the family's routine. Lily helped her with homework, Leo shared his toys, Sophie followed her around the house like a puppy, William taught her checkers, and Margaret spoiled her with sweets and attention. "She's blossoming," Mark commented to Sarah. "She arrived so closed off, so scared." "It's the power of love," said Sarah. "It always works." "Do you think we'll be able to adopt her officially?" "I don't know, we'll see how things develop. But if it's possible, and if she wants to, yes." "And if it's not?" "Then we'll make the most of the time we have with her and make her feel loved and safe, so she can face anything that comes next." A month after Mia's arrival, the social worker returned with news. "Sarah, we have an interesting situation," she said. "An uncle of Mia's has come forward. He wants to meet her." Mia, who was present for the conversation, grew tense. An uncle? She asked. What uncle? Your mother's brother. He was living abroad and only just learned about your grandmother's passing. And he wants to take me away? The social worker looked at Sarah before answering. He wants to meet you first. See how you get along. And if I don't want to go? Asked Mia in a small voice. We'll talk about that after you meet him, said the social worker diplomatically. That night, Mia had a serious talk with Sarah and Mark. Sarah, I don't want to leave here, she said, crying. This is my family now. Sarah hugged the girl. Mia, you will always be our family, no matter where you live. That will never change. But if I leave, I won't see you every day. I won't sleep in Lily's room. I won't have coffee with Grandpa William. I won't learn crochet from Grandma Margaret. If your uncle is a good person and wants to raise you, it might be what's best for you, said Mark gently. You deserve to have a permanent family, not a temporary one. But you are my permanent family, protested Mia. The situation was delicate. Sarah and Mark understood the girl's desire, but they also knew a biological relative would have legal priority. Let's meet your uncle first, suggested Sarah. Then we'll decide what to do. Mia's uncle, George, came to visit her the following weekend. He was a man of about 40, single, who worked as an engineer and had lived in Germany for the last 10 years. Hi, Mia, he said, a little awkwardly. I'm George, your mother's brother. Mia observed him with curiosity and distrust. Why did you never come to see me before? I lived very far away, and your grandmother and we didn't talk much. Why? George looked at Sarah, seeking help, but she indicated he should answer honestly. We fought when your mother died. I wanted to take you with me, but your grandmother wouldn't allow it. So I got angry and stopped trying to make contact. And now you want to take me away. I want to get to know you first. See if we get along. If you want to come live with me, great. If you don't, we'll find another way. During the visit, George met the whole family and was impressed by the warm and loving environment. Sarah, he said in private, can I talk to you? Of course. I see that Mia is doing very well here. You've taken care of her better than I ever could have imagined. She's a special girl. It was easy to love her. And you? Would you like to adopt her? Sarah sighed. We would, yes, but we understand you have rights to her. Rights I abandoned for years, said George honestly. Look, I came here thinking of taking Mia with me because I thought it was my obligation. But seeing her here, seeing how happy she is, how you care for her, what are you saying? I'm saying that maybe the best thing for her is to stay with you, officially. Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing. You would give up custody? I would, on one condition. What? That I can be part of her life. As an uncle, not as a father. I want to visit her, spend holidays together, watch her grow up. Sarah smiled. George, our family always has room for one more. What do you mean? You can be part of our family too. Not just as Mia's uncle, but as our friend, our chosen brother. George was moved. You would do that? Of course, that's how our family works. We choose each other. When George told Mia his decision, the girl cried with relief and joy. You're not going to take me away? No, you are exactly where you need to be, but can I still be your uncle? Yes, said Mia, hugging him. But will you visit often? As often as you want. And will you meet all my brothers and cousins and grandparents? Yes, I will. Mia ran to hug Sarah. Now can I call you Mom? Sarah cried with emotion. Yes, you can, my daughter, yes, you can. Mia's adoption was finalized 6 months later in a simple ceremony at the courthouse with the whole family present. George was also there, now officially considered an uncle and friend of the family. Now we're officially family, Lily said to Mia after the ceremony. We already were family, corrected Mia. Now it's just official. That's true. We chose each other from the very first day. At the party at home after the ceremony, William Bennett gave a moving speech. When Margaret Bennett and I arrived at this house, we were two lost and abandoned old people. Today, 10 years later, we are grandparents to 7 wonderful children. We have 3 children of the heart, 2 sons-in-law, a daughter-in-law, and a family that no longer fits in this house. Everyone laughed. And the most amazing thing, William continued, is that it all started with a 7-year-old girl who asked her mother for grandparents. Lily didn't know it, but when she made that wish, she was planting the seed of the biggest family I've ever seen in my life. And it's not done growing yet, added Margaret Bennet. I'm sure more people will still come to this family. Grandma is right, said Mia. This family has a magnet that attracts people who need love. And people who have love to give, corrected Sarah Miller. That's exactly right, agreed Mark Miller. We are a family of love collectors. Love collectors, repeated Lily. I like that definition. Uncle George, who had been watching everything with admiration, approached Sarah Miller. Sarah, thank you for including me in this family too. I didn't know I missed having a family so much until I got here. You were always part of the family, George. You just needed to come home. Come home, he repeated. That's exactly what I felt when I walked in here for the first time. The party went on late into the night, with lots of music, good food, and above all, lots of love. The children played together, the adults talked and laughed, and William and Margaret were doted on by everyone. When the party ended and everyone went to sleep, Sarah stayed in the kitchen tidying up. One by one, her daughters appeared to help. Mum, said Lily, can I say something? Of course. Remember when I was little and I asked you for grandparents? As if it were yesterday. I never imagined that when I asked for that I was asking for a whole family. Me neither, laughed Sarah. But that's what happens when we love for real, said Mia. Love multiplies. Like the loaves and the fishes, added Lily. How so? That story from the Bible that Grandma Margaret told, when Jesus multiplied the loaves and fishes to feed everyone. It's like that with love. The more we share, the more we have. Sarah hugged both daughters. You two are very wise. We learned from you, said Mia, and from this whole crazy, wonderful family. Crazy and wonderful, agreed Sarah. Couldn't have defined it better. 5 years later, the family had grown even more. David Bennet and Jennifer Bennet had another son, Miguel. Lily, now 22, was seriously dating a young man named Daniel, who was already considered part of the family. Mark and Sarah didn't have any more biological children, but they officially adopted 2 more children. The siblings Pedro and Maria, who came through the foster care program. The house had been expanded so many times, it looked more like a small family hotel. But no one minded. On the contrary, everyone loved the constant activity, the noisy dinners, the impromptu parties. William and Margaret, now in their 80s, continued to be the emotional center of the family. Despite their advanced age, they remained lucid and active, always ready with advice, a lap to sit on, or a story. Grandpa, said Sophie, now 7 years old, approaching William on a Sunday afternoon. Tell that story about when you guys first got here. Again? Laughed William. You've heard that story 1,000 times, but I like it, and Pedro and Maria have never heard it. Pedro, 8, and Maria, 6, were the youngest in the family. They had arrived 2 years ago, also through an emergency situation that turned into a permanent adoption. All right, said William, settling into the armchair with Sophie on his lap and the other children gathered around. Once upon a time, there were 2 old folks who were lost in the world. Sarah Miller watched the scene from the kitchen, where she was preparing Sunday lunch for 15 people. It seemed hard to believe it had all started with just her and Lily alone in that same kitchen. What are you thinking about? Asked Margaret Bennet, who had arrived to help with the food. About how our family just keeps growing. And does that bother you? Bother me, Sarah laughed. It's the best thing in my life. Every new person who arrives brings more love, more joy, more stories to tell. And more work, Margaret teased. Good work. Labor of love. That's true. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened to us if we hadn't knocked on your door that Sunday. Don't think about that, said Sarah. Think about what did happen, not what might have happened. You're right, and what happened was perfect. It really was. Margaret looked into the living room, where Grandpa William was telling a story surrounded by children. He's been getting weaker lately, she said, worried. I've noticed, but the doctor said for his age, he's doing very well. It's just that I'm afraid... Margaret didn't finish the sentence, but Sarah understood. Margaret, you've given us 10 wonderful years, and you'll give us many more, But when the time comes, we'll face it together. Will you all take care of each other when we're no longer here? Always, promised Sarah. This family is forever, Margaret. You planted a tree that will bear fruit for generations. A crazy family tree, laughed Margaret. The most beautiful one that ever existed. During lunch, Lily's boyfriend, Daniel, made an announcement. Everyone, Lily and I have some news to share. Everyone stopped eating and looked at the couple. We're getting married, said Lily, showing a simple but beautiful ring. The table erupted in shouts of joy, applause, and tears of emotion. Finally, shouted Mia. It was about time. Congratulations, honey, said Sarah, hugging Lily. I'm so happy for you both. Thank you, Mom. And Daniel, Lily looked at her fiancé. He wants to say something. Daniel stood up, clearly nervous. I wanted to officially ask for Lily's hand from all of you. From whom exactly? Joked Mark Miller. This family is too big to ask everyone. From everyone, said Daniel seriously. From Sarah and Mark Miller as her parents. From William and Margaret Bennett as her grandparents. From David Bennett as her uncle. From all of you, because I know Lily isn't just the daughter of 2 or 3 people. She's the daughter of this whole family. The speech moved everyone. You have our blessing, said Grandpa William, speaking for the whole family. And our support. And our love. And our home is always open, added Sarah. Thank you, said Daniel, visibly relieved. You have no idea how important it is for me to be part of this family. You already were a part of it, said Lily. Now it's just official. Once again, the family was preparing to grow. Lily and Daniel's wedding was set for 6 months later, enough time to organize a party that could accommodate the giant family and all the friends who had been included over the years. It's going to be the biggest wedding Indianapolis has ever seen, joked David Bennett. And the most beautiful, added Jennifer Bennett. And the loudest, laughed Leo Miller. And the most emotional, finished Margaret Bennett. During the wedding preparations, the whole family got involved. Sarah made the bride's dress, Margaret prepared the sweets, Grandpa William organized the music with a group of musician friends, and the children rehearsed a special presentation. I've never seen a family so close-knit, Daniel commented to Sarah during one of the preparations. You do everything together. That's how it works, explained Sarah. The joys belong to everyone. The responsibilities belong to everyone. The love belongs to everyone. And the problems belong to everyone too. Those too. When someone is going through a hard time, the whole family mobilizes to help. How lucky I am to be a part of this. The luck is ours, Daniel. You make Lily happy, and that makes us happy too. The wedding was truly spectacular. The ceremony was in the same little church where William and Margaret had gotten married more than 50 years earlier. The reception was in the parish hall, decorated with flowers from Margaret's garden and ornaments made by the children. Lily looked beautiful in the dress her mother made and was radiant with happiness. Daniel couldn't stop smiling. During the ceremony, the priest, who knew the family's story well, made a touching remark. I rarely see a family so close and loving. Lily and Daniel aren't just getting married. They are uniting 2 families that were already one through love. At the reception, there were many emotional speeches. William, as the family patriarch, was the first. When Margaret and I showed up at Sarah's door 12 years ago, we were 2 hopeless old people. Today, we are watching our little granddaughter get married, surrounded by a family we couldn't have even dreamed of having in our wildest dreams. Lily, you were the first person to call us grandparents. Thank you for giving us a family. Margaret also spoke. Lily, you taught me that family is a choice we make every day. Thank you for choosing us, for including us, for loving us as if we were your blood grandparents. Sarah gave a speech about how Lily had transformed her life. Lily has always been a special girl, but what she did 12 years ago when she asked for grandparents was magic. She didn't know she was creating the most beautiful, crazy family in the world. Sweetheart, thank you for teaching us that family is built with love. When it was Lily's turn to speak, she was visibly emotional. When I was little and asked my mom for grandparents, I just wanted to complete our family. I never imagined I was starting something so big and so beautiful. Today, looking at all of you here, I realize we didn't just build a family. We built a community of love. Daniel, she turned to her husband, you're not just marrying me. You're marrying this whole crazy, wonderful family, Daniel replied. And I couldn't be happier about it. Lily, when I met you, you told me you had the biggest family in the world. I thought it was an exaggeration. Today I know it wasn't. It's true. And now it's my family too. The party lasted until the early hours with lots of affection, music and emotion. When the newlyweds left for their honeymoon, the whole family was at the door saying goodbye. Take good care of each other, shouted Margaret. And come back soon, added William. The house feels empty without you. 1 week, promised Lily. Just 1 week. That's a long time, complained Sophie. It'll fly by, comforted Sarah. When the newlyweds' car disappeared around the corner, the family stayed at the door, still emotional. Another wedding in the family, said David. Soon there will be babies. David, protested Sarah. Let them enjoy their honeymoon first. It's just that we're not getting any younger, he joked. We want to see the great-grandchildren while we're still here. William laughed. Speak for yourself. Margaret and I are going to live to 100 to see all the great-grandchildren grow up. Yes, you will, agreed Mia. You two are too strong to leave early. And you have too much family to look after, added Leo. Exactly, said Margaret. We can't abandon this whole family. 2 years after Lily's wedding, the family received another great joy. Lily was pregnant. The news was celebrated by everyone. A great-grandchild, shouted William, beaming. I'm going to be a great-grandfather. We are going to be great-grandparents, corrected Margaret, also over the moon. And I'm going to be an aunt, said Sophie proudly. And we're going to be cousin-uncles, said Davy. Is that a thing? asked Maria. In our family, we have it all, laughed Sarah. Lily's pregnancy was closely followed by the entire family. Margaret made special foods, William carried heavy things, the children made drawings for the future baby. Sarah prepared the layette. I've never seen a pregnant woman so well cared for, commented the doctor at a checkup. It's because she has a big family, explained Daniel. A big and very loving family from what I see. The best in the world. The baby, a boy named William Daniel, was born on a spring morning, surrounded by so much love it seemed it would overflow from the maternity ward. He looks just like his great-grandfather, said Margaret, holding the baby. He'll be a checkers player from a young age, predicted William, moved. And he'll draw very well, added Lily. And he'll have the craziest and most loving family in the world, finished Sarah. With the arrival of William Daniel, the family officially entered its 4th generation. William and Margaret, now great-grandparents, were radiant. Despite being in their 80s, they remained present and active in the lives of all their grandchildren, and now their great-grandson. Grandpa, said Sophie, watching William make funny faces at the baby. Are you happy? Happier than I ever thought possible, he replied. When I arrived here, I thought my life was over. Today I know it was just beginning. And it will continue for a long time yet, said Sophie, hugging her great-grandfather. Yes, it will, my granddaughter. Yes, it will. 1 year after William Daniel's birth, when the family was gathered to celebrate another family anniversary, it had now been 15 years since William and Margaret's arrival, Sarah looked around the giant table in the backyard. There were over 20 people, her and Mark, Lily and Daniel with the baby, Mia, now 25 and also dating, Leo, 15 years old, Sophie, 12 years old, Peter, 15 years old, Mary, 12 years old, William and Margaret, David and Jennifer with Davy, 20 years old, Lily Claire, 15 years old, and Michael, 8 years old, Uncle George, who had gotten married and brought his wife and young son, and several friends who were already considered family. Everyone, said Sarah, standing up. Can I say something? Everyone stopped talking and looked at her. 15 years ago, a 7-year-old girl asked her mother for grandparents. Today, looking at all of you here, I realize that request created something much bigger than any of us could have imagined. It created a dynasty, joked David. It created an army of love, corrected Margaret. It created proof that family has nothing to do with blood, said Uncle George. It created the best thing that ever happened in my life, said William, moved. Lily stood up with William Daniel in her arms. Mum, remember when you asked me if I would mind if someone else joined our family? I remember. Remember what I answered? That our family had a lot of love to give and would always have room for one more. Well, Lily smiled, prepare your heart because someone else is on the way. It took Sarah a few seconds to understand. Lily, are you pregnant again? Confirmed Lily, beaming. The table erupted in shouts of joy. William and Margaret cried with emotion. The children jumped from their chairs. Daniel smiled proudly. Another great-grandchild, shouted William. Our family just keeps growing, said Sophie happily. And thank goodness, added Mia. Imagine what life would be like without all this wonderful chaos. It would be very dull, agreed Leo. And very quiet, laughed Mark. Quiet? Never, said Margaret. This family was born loud and it will stay loud forever. Forever, repeated Sarah, looking at everyone with a smile on her face. This family really is forever. That night, when everyone had gone home and the children were sleeping, Sarah stayed on the porch talking with William and Margaret, as they had done for 15 years. Do you regret anything? She asked. For taking so long to knock on your door, said William Bennet. If we had come earlier, we would have enjoyed even more time with you. For not having had the courage to build a family like this when we were younger, said Margaret Bennet. But maybe it wasn't possible. Maybe we needed to go through everything we went through to get here. Absolutely, agreed Sarah Miller. Everything happened at the right time. And you? Asked Margaret Bennet. Do you regret anything? Sarah Miller thought for a moment before answering. I regret not having opened our door sooner to more people, but I also know that each person arrived at the right time. And now? Now we continue. We continue loving. We continue welcoming. We continue building this crazy and wonderful family. Until when? Forever, replied Sarah Miller, without hesitation. This family will last forever. Even when you are no longer here physically, the love you planted will keep growing from generation to generation. What a beautiful idea, said William Bennet. It's not an idea. It's a certainty. What you created here is immortal. What we created, corrected Margaret Bennet. It was all built together. That's true. All together, like a real family. The three fell silent for a moment, watching the stars and thinking about the incredible journey they had lived together. Thank you, said William Bennet suddenly. For what? For giving us a family, for showing us that it's never too late to start over, for teaching us that love can create miracles. We are the ones who thank you, said Sarah Miller, for giving us roots, for teaching us the true meaning of family, for filling our home with joy. Then we're even, laughed Margaret Bennet. We are more than even, agreed Sarah Miller. We are united forever. And so, under a starry sky, three people who had met by chance 15 years earlier celebrated the extraordinary family they had built together, knowing that their story of love and unity would continue to inspire future generations. The family that began with a simple request, Mommy, can they be my grandparents, had transformed into living proof that family is a choice made with the heart, a bond created with love, and a legacy that transcends blood, time, and circumstances. And the story would continue, because families built with true love never end. End of story. So, dear listeners, what did you think of this emotional story? Tell us in the comments how you felt following this incredible journey of the most loving family we've ever known. If you believe love can create families like this one, leave your like, share it with someone special, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other touching stories that warm the heart.